Hello, everybody. This is Maniac 4 Bricks. I feel rusty being back here, but I thought it would be a fun time to talk about some great LEGO news that I have been very interested in. I have been curious about for quite some time, and now that it's finally dropped today, I feel more excited to get into it. We finally have another wave of LEGO Dreams. 3 waves now. We're finally talking about new sets coming out for the summer of 2024 for LEGO Dreams. I was a little worried after the beginning of this year, not hearing anything for a while, and I'm still working my way through building the sets themselves. You can also find me over on twitch.tv/maniac4bricks, where I've been doing some of the LEGO building over streams, or you can find me throughout social media, where I've been posting it after a couple of sets were built here and there. Currently, the one that I'm working on is the Turtle Van, so officially named Mrs. Castillo's Turtle Van. I finished the van itself. I just haven't gotten into Bag 4 onward, but I have been building a bunch of other sets before that point. I have a few more sets I'll be building after that point, and I did finally pick up my last set today for the sets that are currently available. I now have every retail Dreams set available currently, and now we got 3 more. So let's take a look, and I'm going to give my impressions on this. I've only looked through the images a few times before this point. I haven't dug deep into everything yet, but I wanted to just let it marinate and let it digest as much as possible for what I can gather out of these upcoming sets. Now, as far as the TV show goes, as much as I've been trying to defend this theme, and as much as I've been trying to enjoy what is offered in here, what is designed, I like some directions of some sets over others, I cannot defend every last thing. I am not here to be an apologist or a blind fan or, basically excusing what could be problems or what could be harder to grasp from LEGO Dreams. I think there are things about this theme in general that could be on a broader scope and a larger amount of imagination than what is available. I would argue the LEGO Movie waves of sets, like from the original LEGO Movie from 2014, is basically that kind of mindset that I want more of in LEGO Dreams. And then some. And if you want to count Rebuild the World, even though there's not technically a LEGO theme for it, but, all those little advertisements and having little things fused together, like a hippo with wings or something like that, a little bit of that, it's kind of in there. I got a bunch of ideas that I've been thinking about, the kinds of things I would love to see further upon in LEGO Dreams, whether it's a TV show or the sets themselves. And then I thought, you know what? I might as well just build them as my own mocks at some point. That's always an option. So I'll save all that for later and post about it whenever I can and however I do it, whether it's a physical build or a digital build through Bricklink Studio. Okay, so now let's get into the meat and potatoes of this article. 3 Summer Dreams sets revealed from the Mexican LEGO Certified LEGO store. So for those who don't know, LEGO Certified stores basically have the license to sell LEGO in a very LEGO store-like capacity. There's a lot more that can be talked about in detail with that, but certified stores act as like second-rate LEGO brand retail stores. That's the simplest part of it. That's what that name means. If you go to their website, usually these kinds of places look like the LEGO shop because they are officially, endorsed by the LEGO Group and Kirkby and everything. So that's how this works. There are definitely some fake ones out there, and there have been for a while. I remember 2020, there were some fake ones, but there are some legit ones, and they will usually say so somewhere along the bottom of one of the pages. LEGO Stores MX, that helps with it. There's probably like an About section or something like that. This is all in Spanish, so I can't read through everything in here. And it still advertises the products. These are in pesos. These are not English currency or American U.S. dollar currency. Don't be alarmed by that. Let's move back to it. So these are images that were found on that site because there are a bunch of retailers who sometimes get images, put up the product pages before the products are all released. And Lego does this as well for themselves. They have done this many times for waves of Lego sets that will come out much later and sometimes have a pre-order option. So this is totally fair. This is fine. This is why Brickset can post about this stuff. And Brickset is very much in tune with Lego, so when they find details and when they have information posted, it is okay to use. Okay, so 3 sets, 71478, The Never Witches, Midnight Raven, 71484, Cooper's Robot Dinosaur C-Rex, C for Cooper, I suppose, and 71485, Mateo and Z-Blob, The Night Battle Mech, will be available in May, according to the Certified Store's website, although June seems more likely based on the release calendar in previous years. Okay, LEGO Dreams officially launched the TV show in May of last year. And the sets towards the end of May, basically June, if I remember correctly. So your first introduction to the theme was through the television show that was not only on Netflix, but also on the LEGO YouTube channel. They're still available to watch on there. I believe now they're up to season 2, possibly into season 3. And I say that because while I have not caught up with a lot of LEGO Dreams itself, the last time I went on Netflix, I don't even know if they had the option for season 2. Maybe it's available on other sources, but I have not watched every last episode up to present, unfortunately. And that may sway some of my opinion about some of the sets that have already released, as well as the ones we're seeing here. These are probably going to be based on the newer season, so there's only so much conjecture I can make out of the sets that, that we know of. So let's go through it. First up, we have 71478, The Never Witches, Midnight Raven. 1,203 pieces. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 minifigures. You could say quote-unquote minifigures, because Z-Blob is like... See, that's the thing. I want to count minifigures, even if they look like little tiny guys. Because LEGO Dreams introduced these micro-figure kind of people. It's kind of like in LEGO Friends when they had mini dolls that are children, as opposed to being full-size dolls, which are about teenager age or adult. They're still characters. They're still independent figures. So I want to say they're minifigures just to call it simple. Dreamling, Z-Blob, any of that kind of stuff is a minifigure. That's basically how they denote it here. Mateo, Z-Blob, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 figures. So 6 minifigures included in the set. I love this set. There's a reason why earlier today I posted on Instagram the 3 sets images with the box art. And I started with this one. Because this is a good looking set. I love the way this thing looks for its own merit. Like, this is a unique thing for the lineup of LEGO Dreams sets of toys. This looks remarkable. It definitely covers, like, the Nightmare color scheme very well, if I want to call it that. Nightmare color scheme being black, shades of pink and purple, dark blue. I don't think I've built any other sets right now that have had dark blue into the mix, but it works really well here. I like that inclusion. It's nicely integrated into this. It doesn't feel too busy. I like this. Of course, transparent of pinks, purples, and so on. A little bit of silver and so on. That's fine. Or gray. Yeah, that works. All good colors. Sand blue does make its way into some of the sets. That's fine. I'm not opposed to that. I think it still works for the Nightmare aesthetic. So, yeah. This looks good pretty much all the way around. I love all these little feather details. I love the, the forward, appearance of it. You know, I love the way that the beak is built. It's great. I don't know how well this thing will stand on its own. I believe there will be an image coming up that shows some form of standing. It does have the house that can separate from it. So it reminds me of the Pegasus. This is basically the new wave kind of Pegasus set. The Pegasus set, I highly endorse. It is like not set to get level, but it is definitely a bang for your buck kind of thing. And even though I did pay under retail from what it originally cost to get that set, it was a great build. And it was a great playable figure build as well. Being a large animal, you can separate into different pieces and still be able to use in all different ways. I liked it a lot. This seems a lot like that, where you can separate this out and become its own things separate from it. It's like the Bone Demon from Monkey Kid. I didn't get that set. I really wish I could have, but I love the potential that that kind of thing can bring. Because you can have something that's like overwhelmingly powerful to start, but then you can have it basically amass a small army to go with it, all in the same set. It's great. Or you can use those other parts of it as like, if we equate this to video games, it would be like the boss and the mini bosses, you know? But it's like you have some smaller but aggressive things to fight before the big thing, you know? I could even bring up another example from like way back. I would go to Robo Attack. Easily one of my favorite Lego Agent sets of all time. And there was a reason why I was so adamant of buying this thing when it was in stores, when it was in Toys R Us for $50. I still love the set to this day. I have built this thing at least 3 times. This set has multiple components that separate from each other. You have one big thing, like I've said, that can separate into a bunch of smaller things that can either operate on their own or can be a progression of it. You know, like this robot, you know, takes damage, so then it flies away, and then it has this little pod, you know, it still has some features to it. That breaks down, whatever. You know, you start capturing him. But then you have this little escape area that breaks out from that. I love that. I love that this is one big meaty package that offers a lot of little things to make the play of it more varied. That you're not bored with it just being one big thing, that you can do multiple things with it. And that's what I see in the Raven, that's what I see in the Pegasus set, and a couple other Dream sets to some degree, because they have that built into the theme of, you know, build your own adventure, whatever you want to call it. Alternate builds kind of, you know, features at the end of the instructions. Okay. The next thing I want to note, I don't even want to, like, highlight about the wheelchair that much. It's great that it's there. It's just a rocket chair. But it's cool. And, hey, we got another character, another human character that is, you know, interacting with this world. Because, let's face it, what we've seen so far was only a handful of humans, and in the first wave or two, basically the same ones over and over again. So it's like, okay, now we got some more variety. Mateo, he's got Z-Blob in the little 1x1 piece, which has been in a couple different sets by this point. He has this very integrated, like, slime launcher thing. I don't know the context of it off the top of my head, but one thing I do find interesting is this jacket. This little, like, accessory to go around the neck, inserted on the minifig torso, and provides a little back support with a stud on it. So, that's cool on its own. And that's something that could be very useful in different colors and for different figures, just for outfits, just in general. I mean, if they don't make a Marty McFly that uses that, somebody will. Somebody will definitely take that and add it to the Marty McFly minifigure, paint it up in red, hopefully. We get a red version later. And it would work really well. You know, just for a style, just for a different outfit for a minifig. We do see some different details on here. I don't see a lot of them from this particular image. And these villains, I'm not particularly in tune with right now, but I believe I've seen one or two of them in some of the Wave 2 sets. Yeah, I'm looking at Sandman's Tower off the screen, and there is the Never Witch appearing in here. But this one has a cool tailpiece that was from Hidden Side. I like that that's brought back, and I like that it's in a new color in dark pink or trans dark pink. That's great. I love it. I love that piece in general, and I love how useful it is in different colors. Got some foot soldiers, it seems, to go with it. I believe they're also named Dizzy and Dogen. We got this bird piece that's brand new. So I hope that gets a lot more usage. You know, in different colors, maybe some prints, maybe some eyes printed on it for other themes. That would be useful. We got a little cauldron in the middle. That's nice. That looks good. And there's all these little like capsules that look like they have kingdoms or realms or something in them. This one in particular looks like it has a Sandman Tower. I'm looking at off to the side. I can't quite make out the other ones here, at least from this angle. But I still like this. I like this as a whole package. And then there's a box art for the same thing. You're having it in a slightly different pose from before. And then there's another image here where we get to see a little bit of the transpiration. So this is what I was talking about before. Like, you could separate this thing. Now you have a bunch of things you can use out of it. The shark ship is a lot like that for sets that are already released in Dreams, because you have that like big eyeball that can be separated from the main ship. I haven't built that one yet, but I do want to build it. And I am very much looking forward to how playable it is. The cauldron can separate and becomes this spider thing. That's cool. That's a nice idea. I'm okay with that. The tree house. People have been saying this is like Lego Baba Yaga, which is a famous folklore. And you know what? I can't argue with that. I just like this even without thinking of the mythological part of it, but just being a cool thing on its own, just this big walking witch's house. With that being said, I wonder if these legs can also just be put onto the raven itself, because it looks like it just kind of plops on the table with no legs. And these definitely have some talons on them, so it probably works with it has to work with the animal as well. But it still looks incredible, even without that stuff on there. This doesn't look too bad. So I out of the 3 sets, I will say this for now, this is the one I am most excited for. I definitely want to see what this is all about. 71484, Cooper's Robot Dinosaur C-Rex. 917 pieces, includes Cooper, Zoe, Duper, Doey, and Sneak. Now, this is something I'm just picking up right now, and I believe there is story to this, based on 1 or 2 videos that I saw beforehand that also revealed these images. I believe these are supposed to be evil versions of the main characters. That's why the name sounds familiar. Dizzy and Dogen instead of Izzy and Logan. So that makes a lot more sense why they also look like that. They have the similar hair, but, you know, the outfits and clearly, you know, disposition are different. That's cool. I think that's a cool idea on its own, you know? That everybody has some sort of, like, version of themselves to fight against. Oh, I called it. We got that little jacket in red. Yes. Okay. Definitely want to see that on a Marty McFly figure. I was saying before, Duper Doey, so that's Cooper Zoe, so that's directly counterparts of each of them in the same set. Okay. That's cool. That's fine. Got the Sandman Castle once again with the bird. So there's definitely some things going down. Different outfits for each of the main cast. That's perfectly fine. By Wave 3, it kind of makes sense. And it changes only a little bit, and by a little bit, I mean barely, in Waves 1 and 2. Like, again, I'm literally looking at the boxes. They're right around me. And the sets are right around me, too. I'm like, yeah, it only changes a little bit, like, Mateo has a cape. Mateo doesn't have a cape. And he has a backpack in this one. Okay. But, this is much more, different outfit. Cooper, it's interesting that he looks more like a robot. And I'm not quite sure what they're going with there. But that's something, like, I wouldn't mind if it was, like, he's not actually a robot, but in the dream world, he can become a robot. That would make perfect sense to me. And that's basically what Logan has in one or two sets. The Sandman Tower I'm referring to for the billionth time, he has this little gremlin-looking outfit. And I believe one or two other sets. The shark ship might be one of them. Either that or Mr. Oz's spaceship. I forget which. Maybe both. But yeah, like that would make sense that in a dream world you would also alter yourself or have some sort of like dreamlike avatar, for lack of a better term, that would, that would roam around. I know I'm talking a lot about the characters. And nothing really about the dinosaur. Dinosaurs and mechs are perfectly fine. And Lego likes their dinosaurs, and Lego likes their mechs. And they know that kids like their mechs, and they know kids like their dinosaurs. And I have mechs that are sitting all around me. I have the Venom mech, or the Venom dinosaur. I love that thing. But with all that being said, okay, it's fine. It's like a mechanical dinosaur, which is not a brand new thing for Lego in general, but it is a refreshing thing for Dreams on its own. So if you take it in the bubble of the theme as it is, it's cool. And it's perfectly fine. It works in the color scheme that Cooper is known for, the same way that Izzy has a color scheme, the same way that, I forgot her name already, Zoe has a color scheme, the way that Mateo's stuff has a color scheme with Z-Blob, that's fine. All of those things are perfectly fine. The red and blue, or red and azure, whatever, is a thing for Cooper. And Cooper stuff has that. And we had, in the first wave, a crocodile, monster truck car that was in that color scheme. It's perfectly fine. I am not opposed to it. I'm just also not that hyped about this as a set. Because I think it's another dinosaur build. And while it is refreshing for Dreams, it is not refreshing to me as an old fart Lego fan who's, already built dinosaurs and mechs dozens of times in dozens of scales. So I'll take it for what it is, as a different thing, as a refreshing thing. I do see some hints as to how it could be transformative. And I am curious how that works. Because look, I see the wheel on here. Makes me believe you could make this in some sort of way to a car. You even have this whole, hood section up here that looks like it could separate. Possibly attaching onto this point. Why is this built like this? It looks like it has a panel that can flip up. There are some curiosity. There are some things working on here. I like the way the colors are used to give it a rustic feel as well. Because you have all this different kinds of browns and oranges that make it pop, but also make it feel rusted. So that's kind of cool on its own. And a mechanical dinosaur, as niche as that sounds, is perfectly fine. Again, Lego has done that before, but not often. The only other mechanized dinosaur I can think of would be Jurassic World, and even that, we're talking 5 or so years ago, so it's not really that bad. But it does look like an original construction. All this around looks perfectly fine. It looks like a good construction. I am interested in this set. I am curious to see what more this thing brings to the table, what more it's capable of. But not a bad setup, not a bad package. Okay, so we got another image here for the box art. We got Cooper standing on top of it. We got another one of those kinds of pieces that just like Mateo had, it almost looks like an hourglass that's like feeding through this apparatus, which is kind of cool. It's going to be a nice little dual molded piece, you know, unique for this theme, obviously, and different characters having different colors. That would be fine. It's the kind of thing that I've seen before with like Hidden Side, and it works perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with it. I'm just pointing it out as being like, oh, what else is there? What else is interesting? What catches my eye? So, you know, see how that all turns out. And then we have a third picture here where it almost looks like it's flying. Almost like a dragon, I want to say. Like that front section definitely looks like altered between the two. If I just put them side by side here, yeah, it's got like a longer like proboscis here. So, you know, this could be an alternate form. Okay. I'm okay with that. This sounds good to me. So having some sort of almost dragon-like alternate form is cool. I think that sounds good. I just wonder what the whole thing looks like, because I'm only seeing so much of it because of the focus on this image itself. But again, I'm wondering what more can be done. You know, like I can tell some pieces are rearranged, but I could still see the basic structure between the two of these models. You know, I want to see something that's a little more unique. You know, like the dream sets that I've been building so far, yeah, you can tell what the base model is when you look in the back of the box and you see, oh, this turtle van can have, you know, the turtle taken off of it. It's just a van, obviously. The turtle can be on it in both directions, but you have different stuff on top of the van. You have different stuff behind the van or on the side of it. You can still tell what the base model's supposed to be. And that's okay. But I just want to see the Dreams theme push the envelope a bit further. I want to see what more can be done to make it transformative. You know what I mean? A bunch of other ones, like I built the Z Blob mech, the smaller $20 Z Blob mech, and base model, pretty much the same thing all throughout. It's not bad because you're just changing the accessories and weapons and helmet, but it's still the same thing. Whereas in this year's wave of Z-Blob set, from the beginning of the year, there was like a $10 version of a Z-Blob Rover kind of set. You actually change it from a car with wheels to a 4-propeller helicopter. I know you can still tell what the base model of it is, but at least it's doing a different function. And I guess in a way, the Z-Blob mech kind of does a different function because it's like, oh, now you have a jetpack, so now you can fly. Same thing with Bunshu, one of the first sets that I built. Oh, now you have wings, so you can fly. Or you can have roller skates, so you can run faster. Okay. Yeah, I just hope that it goes beyond that, you know? Like, this feels like it's trying to be a different model while still having a lot of the same construction, which is good. That's what I'd like to see. I'm thinking of it almost like the Alpha Team Mission Deep Freeze sets, where they were actually mechanically transformative. Or at least some did it better than others. Ice Blade is definitely one of the best examples. It's like you can tell that it's a different model and it's a different function, even if the parts look similar and it just rearranged it a little bit. So anyways, okay, there's a reason why this was number 3 of the sets that I posted on Instagram earlier. Mateo and Z-Blob, the Night Battle Mech. 71485, 1,333 pieces, includes Mateo, Logan, Madteo, Dogan, Sneak, and Snivel. So Sneak and Snivel being these smaller Grim Spawns that are on the bottom here. You have an evil version of... No, wait. This is the evil version of Mateo. So we got another... Ooh, another jacket. Another color. Great. This theme in one wave, giving us 3 colors of a very useful part that can be very versatile for minifigures outside of the theme. Just for a nice outfit. That's what I like to see from LEGO. That's like, you have a cool hairpiece, make it in every color available that people would want to use, you know? Maybe not all at once, but over time at least. And there are definitely some where they just exist in one style and one color, and you just kind of have to work with it. But this one's giving it all at once, and, you know, I'm eating good in that department. Then you have Logan, and is, again, the same sort of outfit that we saw in the first set. This mech doesn't really appeal to me. I mean, there are some cool things about it, and I'm getting a little bit of an Exo Knights feel, which is not a bad thing. But we've seen Z-Blob mechs over and over and over and over again. Remember I was saying before, there was a $10 option of a Z-Blob set that breaks a bit of the mold, that has a car function, that has a helicopter function. That's not a mech. To be fair, in retail, there's only a handful of Z-Blob mechs. There's like 2, maybe 3. I can't even think of the third one, but in the whole scope of the theme, from make and take builds, you know, at Barnes & Noble or Lego stores or anywhere, in any promotion of the theme itself, Z-Blob is almost entirely focused within a mech status. And that's not to say that's a bad thing. Bunchy the Bunny is technically a mech. I mean, it's not supposed to be a robot because it's a giant stuffed bunny, or in the dream world, I think it's just supposed to be a giant bunny. But it functions similar to a mech as a toy, you know? It's got posability, it's got room for a person to sit on it, you know, it's fine. But it gets to be its own thing, too. Meanwhile, that's the only thing that Izzy uses with Bunchy. Yes, it may be included in a couple sets, but the stuffed rabbit doesn't have to just continue being other things. It could just be that one set that's $20. It works fine. Now we have another set that's like $10 to $15 where it's a narwhal, you know, as a hot air balloon, and it looks gorgeous, and I love building that. It was a simple build, but it was a fun build. And that's another thing that Izzy can use. And I'm hoping that there are other things like that for Izzy in general. I believe there's something like that with the Pegasus set, once again. It's either that or Zoe. I forget which. I'm looking around and trying to find the box. Okay, never mind. But the point is, good old Sandan Tower is just screaming my name. Izzy is flying on a bird in this set. And it's the same bird in both builds. Okay. Well, that part doesn't change. It's fine. It's whatever. But she gets multiple things to do. What I'm trying to say is, Izzy and Mateo are the main characters in Dreams as a theme, as a TV show as well. Mateo has this blob called Z-Blob as his own character. It's like his own comic book character. And in the dream world, in the TV show, he seems very versatile. He seems like, because of that slimy, blobby nature, you can mend him, you can, you know, customize him. Some of the sets feature that, but not by a lot, because he keeps going back to being a mech. That's my argument. You have this thing, and then you have the $20 option that came out in the first wave. And while this one does look cool for what it is, what purpose does this serve that the other one didn't already? because it looks like a knight? Couldn't somebody else have a mech that looks like a knight? Couldn't Z-Blob have another function that's beyond being a mech? That's all I'm asking. But if we take that all out of the way and we just look at it as it is, a mech knight suit is unique to Dreams. The mech part, debatable, but the knight part, that's perfectly fine. Is it unique to Lego? Like I said before, it reminds me of Nexo Knights, which did have a couple of mech knights every so often, which is fine. But it does have a different construction, so it's, it's okay there. I do like the giant shield and sword that goes with this. I want to say the sword is made out of those wing pieces from Prime Empire of Ninjago. I think. Pretty sure. What I find interesting, though, is that there's no knee articulation, even for a mech this big. There is an interesting hip articulation with this double joint. So it's going to be very sturdy, I'm imagining. But what I also see is towards the bottom of the feet, the heel is made out of tires. There's little tires on the back ends of each of the feet. There's this other little round bit that I guess is on the other side of this foot. I guess it's not on both sides, or whatever. For stability. It sounds like the kind of cue that I have only seen a few times officially from a Lego set, and mostly seen from fan mocks when they build their own mechs, or, even if it's not out of system pieces, but Bionicle pieces, Technic pieces, Hero Factory, whatever you call it. But they're building a robot, and they want to make it posable, tires for that extra rubber stability. So that's cool. I'm not worried about that at all. I think that's actually a really cool thing. The aesthetic is fine, and I think including blue into the color scheme makes us feel more fresh, as opposed to the other ones before that have pretty much run the course for it being white, some sort of transparent green, and accents of black. There is still accents of black here, obviously, but it's more blue and azure in the forefront. And that looks fine. And that also works for Mateo, just because he is a character who's wearing blue. He's also wearing a little bit of green, but mostly his outfit is blue. He does have the same exact build that's in the other set, which I don't know how I like that. If that's just his weapon, so be it. It's the same exact build, whatever. I can't tell what's on this one, but I do like the hawk is still included in here, or Raven, I should say, is included in here. I do like that there's like this dark version of the pencil. That's cool. I mean, earlier when I was building the turtle van, I took the extra pieces from the bags 1 through 3, and I built a small pencil. And, it's the same kind of pieces, but like 1 or 2 colors are different. And I was able to build a smaller version of the same pencil staff that Mateo has. And I love that pencil build. I don't mind that it's in multiple sets. I don't mind that it's his main weapon. I think it's a great part of the outfit, and I think it's a good example of how Dreams could be more than what we've seen so far. Give us the weird stuff is what I'm trying to say. Have everyday objects exaggerated and embellished in a dreamscape. Have things that don't normally collide with each other combine and make something new out of it. Like we've seen before with the Narwhal hot air balloon or the crocodile monster truck thing I was talking about earlier. That's the kind of stuff I like. And I have a whole bunch of other ideas for kinds of things in that sphere that I would love to build as mocks. And I have not built mocks that are pertaining to a particular LEGO theme in a long time. So that should give it a lot of credit, for better or for worse. That DREAMZzz is inspiring me to build for the aesthetic of the theme and for what it's going for, or what it can be. But with that being said, Big Mech is Big Mech. It's fine as it is. I will be interested to build it at some point, just not as intrigued as the other ones. And then you have the box art image. So another action shot. The salmon or pink that's in here stands out a little bit, but it does kind of incorporate into other areas. It's not bad. And I guess mostly it works as like a design feature. So it's like, oh, this is a play feature. It draws your eyes to it because you can use that instead of it getting lost within other details. So no harm, no foul there. And then we have this version, which seems to be a different form of mech, which actually highlights those stud shooters as the main, artillery, instead of it being the swords and shields as weaponry. Okay, that's fine. And it gives kind of Exoforce vibes to me when I look at it that way. I also see things like the shoulder pads up here are being used down here for the knees. You can see right there, there's big pieces right there. So that looks okay. This does feel like a slightly different mech than what we've seen before. How the eyes appear here and they don't appear up here, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe there's another piece for that. I'm not really sure from looking at this right now. But I do like the eyes are still there. That's cute. That's fun. And it feels very Exoforce-like to me. So hopefully other people will embrace that and enjoy that in their own way. Having these big engines or other big artillery, it's a similar idea there. So yeah, that's doable. So as far as these sets go, if this is the whole summer wave, I'm a little concerned because that's 3 sets. 3 big sets, I should also say. There's not a real economic option out of any of these. You're talking sets that are almost 1,000 pieces each. 900 being the lowest amount between them. 1,200 being your cap. And then the second one is, 1,300. And then the 1,200 is your middle, but still towards the upper side of it. So, comparing that with what we've already seen out of DREAMZzz, and let's be real, and I said this about the first wave when it was releasing, there were some weird prices, there were some weird gaps in things, and now that I finally built Grimkeeper the Cage Monster, I can most definitively say that was not a $40 set. That was a $20 set with a disguise. I still cannot justify that at full price. And luckily, because of saving money with some of the other sets, I was more inclined that I would just get this and not have to worry about it, because it's like, okay, well, in the total, I'm not putting out the full amount for this because I saved money on the other sets, But nowadays, by this point, I think he's gone down in price. Yeah, $30, perfectly fine. Walmart, Amazon, Target. $30 is what it should have been retailed at. Because that doesn't really help here when this thing is almost the same composure Not the same construction, but the same rough size and like playability as the $20 options in the same wave. The fact that these were all three released at the same time, and this one is the cost of two of these, you're guaranteeing that these are going to be bought, even if the aesthetic, it changes greatly between them, So there were a lot of sets, obviously, that came out the first wave. And that's perfectly fine because you need a lot of variety. You need people to get hyped. You need to see what this theme is about. You need to see what expanse there is. And it does give that to a good amount. Because you have world building within the dream world itself, all these little figures of dreamlings and the little, residences, their occupations, but they're also still able to combine. This is, completely modular, which is awesome. And it's able to combine with this set and this set. It actually has like connection points on the sides here. You can put each of those little buildings in little parts of the treehouse. That's amazing. Those are all good things. The synergy between the sets, that works nicely. But you also have like things for main characters, things for villains, big bad things, as almost a boss level or a flagship model for the theme. All good stuff. All perfectly good stuff. But you also have a range in economics for it. This is kind of dumb being a $30 offering, but it's fine. And 434 pieces, you get three very intricately built houses. Even if they look small, even if they're not minifigure scale, they are very intricately built. Like, I was actually surprised it took me 40 minutes or so to build all three of these, given what they looked like. I thought, oh, this will be a stab, but it actually took a bit of time, and there was a bit of, detail going into each of them, even this one. So, you have $30 option. You have 20 as your basic, I think that's the minimum, which I'd say there should have been a $10 option or $15 option, but second wave covered that. Starting it out where your minimum is spending $20 between this or this, I get it. A little bit of a thing to go into, but also it offers a bunch. These actually are sustainable $20 sets. I wouldn't say you need to get these for less than that unless you just happen to find a deal for it. That's perfectly fine. But I bought this for retail at $20, and I think I got $20 worth out of it. Maybe a little bit less, but I think there's potential with other sets. It could still justify that. Now that I think about it, and I kind of wonder if this is true, I just realized that the colors from Bunshu, these azures and coral colors, are integrated into this mech. I wonder if that's supposed to be a brother-sister building thing. That it is the blob, it is still a mech, it is still night aesthetic, but it has some touch-ups by Izzy. And that would be a cool thing, too. They are brother and sister. Give them a cohesive brother and sister build. And maybe this is it. Because otherwise, they're kind of doing their own thing in most of these sets. And from the TV show that I've seen so far, also kind of doing their own thing, too. So, okay, barrier for entry is $20. You have things up to $100. It's $110, I think, for the treehouse at retail. Nightmare Shark Ship, I want to say, is $120, $140. Okay, yeah, that was definitely a bit more, but it seems like a good value for it. I mean, again, I haven't built it yet, but it seems like a good value for the size of it. I have seen this thing in person a few times, and my goodness, that does feel like a big chunker, big, good, useful, you know, ship. So there's a range with it. You have a range of aesthetics. You have a range of, you know, getting into the world of it. You have the range of customizations. Sounds good. That's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, almost 10, 11 sets. So that's, you know, that's excellent. That's the kind of thing you want to start off with, a brand new IP that you have to get this, you know, this idea across to people. And I understand that over time, as it's a new concept, you know, last year, it's going to kind of get familiar with people, so you don't have to try it so hard every wave. I'm not expecting every wave to have 11 sets. And technically this one as well, because it was a gift with purchase, but it was also available from Walmart right away, and I did both just by accident. Excuse me. Didn't mean to do that. But it's cute. It works. This is definitely, like, if you have Walmart near you and you were able to get this last year, it's not there anymore. But it's also a good, like, I started with this set. This was technically the first Dream set that I built. And while it didn't have any of the alternate build features that all the other sets do, it gave some world building. And it's something that was still, like, compatible with the other sets. Okay, so then we have a whole bunch of magazine gifts, which, like I said before, we have different versions of Mateo, Z-Blob, Mech, you know, different scales of it. And more magazine gifts. You obviously have Cooper. You got miniature versions of other sets too. So I can't sit here and complain about Z-Blob as a make and take when there are a bunch of other ones from the first wave also created. The Space Bus, the Turtle Van. I have the Turtle Van. I would love to have the Space Bus, but, you know, I could always just find those parts and fabricate it together for that, or for the Crocodile Truck. I know that they're only made to be one model. They're not supposed to be as playable as the full-scale sets, but they look nice as desk toys, and they'd just be fun little options, you know? You have the Bun Shoe as well. That's a miniature. Make and take. It's fine. And these are all things that are available through LEGO stores or Barnes & Noble and other promotional events. I didn't get to hear about most of them. I got lucky right after Brick Fair hearing about this LEGO Dreams event at the flagship store in New York. And while they did have instructions for the Space Bus, I didn't get to see any, like, bag assemblies for it. They just had a stack of instructions available, which is fine, because I still was able to take a picture and still get to see it, and, you know, pictures are available now, obviously. Then you have the second wave that came out this year. Beginning of this year, 2024, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sets. 5. So it is cut in half from the previous wave. And these are your 5 options for this year. We have, like, we have a lower bar, $10 to $15 now, to purchase sets that also have the main characters. They don't have the full garb, which is fine. I'm not going to complain about that. But you have the main characters. You have some of the main aesthetics between them. And they do stand out as different options from the counterparts that they had before that. Like, you know, this is Z-Blob, but now it's a car, or you make him into a helicopter thing. That's different. That's good. And it's in a smaller package, too. That works just, you know, A-okay. I mean, if you really wanted to, you could probably just make him into a little speeder car. hovercraft or something without propellers, because you could just take all these components off, and then you have, the chassis or apparatus or whatever that already looks like it can just zoom along the ground. And then you have the hot air balloon. It actually has a mouth that opens. I don't know how much you could really put in there, but you could put some accessories in there. I know it has still a bunch shoe. It's already used a bunch of times. It's fine, but it gives motivation. It's something to, make these guys seem more wicked. It's fine. I'm okay with it. And you also can turn this basket assembly into a chariot. That the narwhal, basically the same assembly, will just be carried behind. It literally separates here. And that's okay. You don't have to change really anything with the narwhal itself. I like that. I think that's wonderful. And it works really well out of a small handful of pieces to be a different thing. You have one thing that flies, now you have one thing that roams. And it could still fly maybe a little bit, but it's more closer to the ground now, And that's what I like out of these sets is that, you have even if they are transportation, they have different modes of transportation, If they were the same mode for both options, it would be less exciting. Because here you have the roller skates, but you can also turn these into wings and a jetpack and a stinger. And that feels like a different thing. And then you have Z-Blob, where it's okay, he's got a big weapon, pew pew. But also, he can have a jetpack, so he can fly. He doesn't have any weapons in his hands, but he might not need them. Now moving on to Mr. Ozz's space car. I built this one not that long ago, and I think it's pretty cool. So you do have the option for this sitting on top of it. What they don't show you here in this particular image, there is more that you build with this set. And I should emphasize that. There is more than what is shown here when you build this version of the set. There's a whole other car chassis that you can literally take this top piece off. Whether or not that's in the instructions, I don't really care. But I did it anyways. You could take the top piece off of it, you put it onto that set of wheels, and then you have this little rover that can, drive around while this thing flies. That's cool. But you can also have this thing on the ground as the big thing that can drive. And then there's another part that, when you transform it, it flies. Okay, that is going against what I was just saying, because they are both having a driving and flying option, but they are as two separate things. This whole car apparatus can be a ship in this mode, or it can be a car, or it can be a rover with different assemblies. And the thing on top could become a rover, or it could be a thing that flies. It's a little hard to mention this without going more into images. So that's what your basic car would look like. That's fine. It almost looks like a Speed Champions car. You could fit this right in, and it would work fine. Here's one mode of it. You have a little spaceship. You have this little thing that can fly. Now this thing can be on the back. It's got little turrets. Okay, that works. And you got these little radar dishes and hands being forward instead of being back here. Okay. And now you got the big wheels instead of, these small wheels. You have 6 of them instead of 4 of them. That's different. This is still essentially a car, yes, but this is more civilian. This is feel more like space-like. And then there should be an image, well, I guess it would just be the main image, where this thing is flying, and here we go. This image shows it on the back of the box of this, the wheels from here, some of the rigging system from the sides of here, and it makes this. It makes this rover that attaches with the other part of that. This goes in there, this goes in there. It's changing up the functions. Now this thing is a big thing that flies instead of a small thing that flies, and a small thing that's driving instead of a big thing that's driving. And this thing is using the arms and radar instead of this thing using the arms and radar. That's good. That's what I like. I did enjoy building this set and transforming it a few times with all those things in mind, you know? And there's simple connection points. That's the other good thing about it is these are easy things to change around. Look, you could even do this. You could literally just have it as him driving like that if you wanted to. This is a brickset review of it, so obviously not shown from the official LEGO photos or website, but it's an option. It is a very possible option. That modularity is all in one set, and it's not even considering other sets. Though I think it would benefit if they did. It would be like what R.R. Slugger said about, you know, how LEGO Dreams can be like the New Age Galador because you can change things around. But having them integrate with other sets would even be cooler. A lot of these other sets, they have different assembly points, which you probably need a couple other pieces in order to make them work. I think you could take the wheels from here or the propellers from here and add it to this space car just fine. And if I make more content, that would be a cool thing to try. It's like, what other combinations of things can I make out of these? And that's also what reminds me of like Life on Mars. It had a very modular, integrated system for all those kinds of vehicles and mechs and buildings that all, it's its own ecosystem. It all comes together. It's supposed to work in different ways like that. I just have to find one of the sets by name to get to all the other sets. So here's an example of one of the mechs. And even though it's archaic by nowadays standards as far as how it's built, it still has a cohesive system. And I'm pretty sure I had that on either a video or a photo post or something about almost 2 years ago when I displayed the Life on Mars sets all at once. And I was reconfiguring them with all these different combinations of things. And then making the most ridiculous elongated version using all the parts that I could. But the point is, it was all different sets that work with each other. And that's beautiful. And something like LEGO Dreams can totally capitalize on that. The fabrication of different ideas within your own subconscious, within your own dreamscape, and then double it or exponentially multiply it with everyone else in the same dreamscape, you know? Like, I'm pretty sure you can take, like, I'm looking at the Crocodile Truck set. It's still in the box, but I will be building it soon. But I'm pretty sure the joints in there are the exact same joints as used in Bunchu and Z-Blob. So if I really wanted to, I could clinch them all together. I could make all these combined options. But I'm basically inventing this myself instead of it being forwardly said in the instructions or in any of the media. In any of the, you know what would work with that? The television show, the Netflix series, you know? That would be a way of, like, you have the team that's working together because they're combining the same stuff into the same model. They're all, you know, it sounds like the Lego movie. Should I go back to what I said before about how this reminds me of the Lego movie in 2014? While this was never made as a Lego set, and there are definitely some fan models that have recreated this. Okay. Is there a better... There we go. Well, there are fan models like this one by Imagine Rigney. This is basically what happened in the Lego movie. this was working together. These were all different builders with their own aesthetics, but they weren't working cohesively. They weren't combining for the purpose of the teamwork. It was, we're all trying to survive. We have our own spaces and keeping to ourselves. You literally hear it from one or two of them that say, get your retro space stuff out of my area, or these are the colors that I need, or, things like that. It's like they're working on their own terms. They're building in their own head. You can tell what area is Wild Style. You can tell what area is Batman. You can tell what area is Benny. You can tell what area is Unikitty. You can tell what area is Vitruvius. But it is, for lack of a better term, a hodgepodge. It looks kind of cool as a submarine altogether, but there's a reason why it had exploded like right after building it, because it wasn't stable. It wasn't built with everybody in the same mindset and the same teamwork and such. I'm being really analytical here, I know. And then you have Double Decker Couch, just hanging out here. But that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. That would be cool if it happened within the TV show or within the sets, or encouraging that with the sets. You can build with your toys with each other, It's like the Toy Story effect. It's like, okay, you have all these different toys that are from completely different companies and different scales and different models and whatevers, but they're all playing within the same atmosphere. And they are working towards the greater goal of the story, whatever it may be. Life on Mars. Let me just scroll through the instructions real quick. So you can see how it's modular. It separates different parts. Even within its own set, it has that alternate building experience where it's like, oh, now it's a flying ship instead of it being a rover. But then at the end of almost every Life on Mars set instruction booklet, they have a 2-page spread, sometimes more, where they're combining sets with each other. And it's not taking the entire set apart and rebuilding it with new instructions. It's not like the combiner models of the past. And this is during in the past when those combiner models did exist in other LEGO themes. This is doing it with its own integrated system, just popping a few joints here and there, and it's something different. It's a different kind of spaceship. It's a different kind of mech. Whatever. And that's cool. And that's a good thing. And Life on Mars, while I haven't made a fully scripted and elaborate video about the theme, this is something that I knew back in the day. I grew up with this LEGO theme. I had some of these sets growing up. But I learned to appreciate them long after the fact. It was unique and remarkable for its time and to this day. And the kind of thing that I think Dreams and other original LEGO IPs could benefit from. That you have something that can be like, you encourage the integrity or the integration. It is pretty easy to do this just from my own imagination, just because I have a little more building prowess under my belt, like already knowing how these parts work with each other. You can take the limbs off of the Xian cat owl and put something else on there, or maybe I can make them into like fish. I could build it into something different entirely, even not from the theme. But the sets would also work well if it, encouraged that itself. In a day and age where it's not always, a part of the experience. When someone builds a LEGO set, when a child builds a LEGO set, and they build it for what it is, And I guarantee when a child has a Lego set for Creator or Dreams, where it does have alternate options, they're probably going to build the one that's the most familiar to them, or the one that it shows in the front of the box, because that's the thing that they see, and that's what excites them the most about it. But consider those other options. Have those other things available. I've done that once or twice before with Creator sets, rebuilding them into other models. I don't always build it as the top tier or the set name of the model. But, there are also times where I don't. And I would like to do that more often, where I go back and I build the other ones and I see what they're worth for what they are. So this is only 5 sets in this wave. This is all that released from January to now. But that's still a fair amount of time. I mean, if we're looking at this, if these released late May into June of last year, they were doing the heavy lifting for months, for multiple seasons, for multiple quarters of the year, and throughout the holidays. So it's also a good thing that it is a big wave, because it has to, it has to live and thrive for a longer time. So this is a shorter wave because it has less time that needs to do that before more sets come out. It's not like these are the only sets we're going to get this year, and I understand that. I was just curious as to what more was out there. Like, these are nice for what they are, and I've built half of them by now, but I want to see what more can be done within this dreamscape, within this dream world. The Sandman Tower is in the direction of that, because you have a location, you have a physical place that exists only within this realm. There's a lot of transportation, a lot of vehicles, a lot of creatures, that live within there, and fantasy is good for that. And dream fantasy is definitely good for that. But if we're trying to save a dream world, what world are we trying to save? This? Is this it? Maybe a little bit with this. We got this going on. To be fair, from what I've seen of the TV show so far, some of these sets don't even make an appearance for a while in the show. If you're going from chronological order, you don't see a lot of the Lego sets in Dreams right away. You'll see like glimpses of some of them for not even the whole episode. And then there's other ones that don't show up for a while. And at least as of recording this, I have not seen them appear in the show yet. But I hope that I do. I want to see what this world is about. What these dreamlike figures are about. What these, creatures living in this dreamscape are about. I want to see these kinds of things. I'm already done seeing Mr. Oz's space bus for the 3rd to 5th time. And hey, this makes a great appearance. It's a good flagship in the show itself as well. But I get it. And is there anything more that's going to happen with it other than just being the flagship? You see these guys a couple times. I think I've seen this maybe once. I haven't seen this yet, but I'm sure it's around the corner. I didn't even get to any of these sets yet, but hey, like I said, there's probably more episodes that I haven't watched yet, and maybe these appear in them. I'm comparing this to something like Ninjago or Monkey Kid, where in those shows, the sets are definitely part of the plot. They are part of how the story progresses. And I'm not saying it needs to be a glorified commercial in order to do that, because that's the opposite perspective. That it's too much in your face, that it would be too over the top in trying to get all all of this visibility because, hey, we got to see this on the store shelves and you got to buy this thing. I just want these to have some purpose with it. And I don't want to imagine the context for a show that takes place in imagination. You know what I mean? That would be antithetical. It wouldn't work. So we're going from 5 into the second wave to 3 into the third wave, but there's also, you see a bunch of question marks. And Brickset is not going to reveal that information, whether or not they have that available, but set numbers are there. There are set numbers that are related to dreams that are filling within these gaps somehow at some point. They could be gift with purchases, they could be polybags, they could be full retail sets. I have yet to know that, and that's just how it goes. And then we have some other magazine gifts down here too. And this is a Z-Blob thing that's mostly a jetpack, so it's different, kind of. I don't know. So going over what we've seen so far out of LEGO Dreams, I'm still thrilled to build the sets. I am still intrigued on building everything that has come up to this point already, and seeing now these 3 sets going forward, I just hope there's still more steam. I just hope that there's more innovation. I hope that there's more that this theme is unveiling to us while still having, you know, its dreamlike wonder. You know, that, you know, it already has a foundation. It already has a good basis of how you can play with these sets multiple ways without having to take the whole thing apart with rearranging different things. That's fine. But how about we see it go further? See it feel like different things, brand new concepts, and so on. I'd like to bring a good friend of mine, Nick on Planet Ripple, up because he had a brilliant idea back when Hidden Side was a theme. And I don't know how quickly I'm going to find it in here. Oh, there it is. This is a LEGO Creator set called Monster Burger Truck. Because it's a monster truck, Monster Burger Truck. LEGO Creator could be fantastical, could be realistic, could ride in between them. And this, I would say, is definitely in between them. Monster truck, yes. A monster truck that serves food? I don't know. But this is a great thing on its own, just thrown out there. And Nick on Planet Ripple took this set and made it even more creative. They took the monster burger part of it and created this to be more monstrous. I do recommend Actual Monster Burger Truck. Great video. I'll link it down below or within the chat or something. But point is, it could go wilder, and I would love to see it go wilder. If I go back to, so if I want to put my money where my mouth is, when it comes to LEGO movie sets, I have not owned every LEGO movie set from both films, but I have owned the majority of them. And if we're looking at those sets, you can see, you know, super secret police stuff, micromanager stuff. It's got some uniqueness, but it does have a very uniform look. You know, these are supposed to be uniform because it's creating order. It is part of the story. It is, you know, if you've seen the LEGO movie, I don't want to have to, you know, explain it in every detail. This is created from a bank and a keep out sign and some other details as a hang glider. That's great. That's a different thing. It doesn't actually fly, and Emmett's hands, you know, only hold in place if you put it at a certain angle, but this is a different kind of build. It's a flight thing, without having to be a helicopter, without having to be a jetpack. It's more manual, you know? But it still stands out. Cloud Cuckoo Palace, it's kind of minimal, I gotta say. It's fun as a $20 option, as a fun little, like, place to romp around. It's not going to help my point, though. Here we go. When the citizens start building their own things out of everyday items, you can make this an ice cream truck, or you can make it into a flying ice cream machine, where it has little propellers and, you know, all these little cannons. It's firing popsicles. You know, the ice cream scoop cone on top of it is literally turned around like a big laser. That's fun. That's cool. That's great. I've built this at least once. Trash Chomper I loved even more, and I kept it together even more like that. It actually does function, where you can actually chomp things with this, the same way that you'll be using those gears with a garbage truck to, you know, tilt the truck back and forth. And it's its own flying vehicle. Here's another one that's its own flying vehicle. You know, you have this little castle gateway that turns into, almost looks like a pod racer, in my opinion. It looks a little bit pod racer-like. Metalbeard himself. It's a robot pirate. It's a mech, but it's also got the pirate aesthetic with it, you know? And it's got everything to go with that aesthetic. It's got cannons. It's got a hook. It's got, well, no, it doesn't have a hook. I mean, an anchor. It's got a peg leg. It's got a flintlock here. It's got a shark on the hand, you know? It's got flags on his back. It's got a steam pipe. Whatever. You get that there's a lot of creativity here. Got another one. This is a basic. The truck version of this looks super basic, and it's fine for Lego Cities to build either of these as their, you know, civilian forms. But you're rebuilding almost the entire thing to make it into something different. I understand not every Lego Dream set can do that, and even not every Lego movie set can do that. But they should have something else going for them, you know? I guess technically you could say, oh, these 4 sets are all flying things. But one of these isn't even a vehicle. I mean, it's got a wagon, but the whole thing is a castle battlement. I don't know. You have sets like this, and this, and this, which are always meant to be the alternate form from what they used to be. I don't know if you could actually turn this thing into a fire truck with the pieces that are built into the set, but you can tell it was stemming from the fire truck itself, like a transformer kind of feel. And then you have this, which is from a saloon. Can you make a saloon out of this on its own? Probably not. The kebab stand, maybe. But you can tell they're trying to be different things. And that's good. This little windmill thing, I think, could, I don't know, could probably work. I never understood the little feet on the bottom for windmills, but I'm sure there's more to that. And this is like multiple construction equipment. And you see it in the movie. He literally taking parts from every other construction vehicle around him to create this mech. Now, if I scroll down to later stage Lego movie sets, smaller wave, smaller sets, perfectly fine. This, I think, was $30. This was like 15 to 20, I think. This was like $10. And they're good budget options for things, like if you didn't get these characters right away in the other Lego movie sets, even though they've been out for a year, you can still pick them up. This is a great parts pack. There's a great amount of figures and parts in here to play around with, even without the whole Lego movie. This is taking elements from the Lego movie and making a fun little pack for it. This one being a particular scene in the movie, but can still be, its own thing. This is not the same build for Bad Cop's car that was already released. This is actually as a car. I don't know how much more there is to it because it just looks beefy to me, but it is different. Like construction-wise. And if I go down further to Lego Movie 2, and that kind of momentum slows up within 5 years. They made a mech set out of an obscure DC villain, and it's all revolving around egg throwing. Okay, here we are. So the Plantimals, those are very original builds. They're using some interesting, not only colors, but also combinations of pieces. That's a crab inside of here. That's a leaf piece, And every one of them is different from each other. The one in this set doesn't look like the same one in this set. Oh, wait, no, they do. Okay, bad example. Fudge. Can't believe I did that. The one in this set looks different. And this one. I thought there were more sets that had them. Somewhere down here. Don't make me look like a fool. I already do that enough on my own. Could have sworn there's another set with Plantimals in it. Is it really those two? Huh. Or three, I guess. In the movie, they look different. Well, here's an example of a car that's combining both Wildstyle and Emmett capabilities. I mean, it's a badass looking car, pardon my language, it's a badass looking car for Wildstyle purposes, but it mostly has, like, a pretty neutral color scheme, I would say. It's got some Wildstyle flair here. I don't know where I would say this falls in between. Maybe it's in between these two. You could count it that way. But also, it's made to have safety lights. Because that's what Emmett does in the movie. When he rebuilds with Wildstyle in this, he adds safety lights on it. Because that's his concern. But even if he count his own vehicle, it stands out as a different thing while still being in his aesthetic. This is very different from the Constructo mech that was shown earlier. Or even different from the house or these sets, Unfortunately, between these sets, Lego Movie 2 doesn't really have a lot of options as far as rebuilding. I think the set is a 3-in-1, but I'd have to look at it again up close. I know this small version of Metal Beard is a 3-in-1. Technically this is, but I don't know if it actually physically is. in the movie, it looks like it is. I wouldn't really call this alternative building because it's just changing the expression on the face. But it is changing the design of the character, like, quite a bit. So I'll give it that. This set is a 2-in-1, where I built it into a spaceship, a house. So that part is cool. That's definitely one of the highlights. But most of the other ones I'm pretty sure are made to be what they are. I think Triple Decker Couch might be able to make into an actual Triple Decker Couch. Yep, 2-in-1. There you go. Yeah, obviously it doesn't spoil it there. This one says it's 3-in-1, so you have them wheeled like that, you have them wheeled like that, or you have them as a ship. Yeah, this one is a 3-in-1. He's got the crane arm in front. He's got a more race car looking look here, and then almost like a mech, a small mech. These are different from each other, at least. This feels more of utility. This feels more speedy, and this one is a mech. Okay, so at least that's different. The other metal beard that you see in here is either built into a big motorbike or with like a piano instead, a very musical looking design, you know? He's still got the hook hands here, but now he's got a trumpet for a hand. He's got little speakers. He's got a gramophone. He's got a piano for a leg, which I'm pretty sure is a line they say in the movie. So it's not just the colors that change, but also the actual, like, and also not just the construction, but also the aesthetic. There's another example of things combining, because while I didn't get the chance to build this set, and I almost got a chance to own it, you could tell that there's design philosophies of both Lucy and Sweet Mayhem in here. There's different color schemes that are working into each other that, for the most part, work out nicely. I gotta say, now looking at this thing again, I feel like it could have just been like the Gungan sub from episode 1, but in Lego movie form. Because of the bubbles here, the 3 together, the like wing shape of it, almost looks like a manta ray. I don't know. That'd be funny though, if any of that was like inspired by the Gungan sub. Oh yeah. There's another metal beard here I forgot to mention earlier. My neck hurts, sorry, hold on. Ow! Okay. So, I don't know if I made a proper point about that when it comes to the dream sets. What I'm trying to say is you can have them working together. You can have these sets working together. And they sort of do that. But I'd like to see them push the envelope a bit further. And I hope by context of the show that they do. I'm kind of hoping now that this Z-Blob set has some traces of Izzy, design or imagination built into it. Even though she's not included in the set, but, still working within the confines of the show. I understand it's a toy. Izzy's going to be in another set. I mean, she's not even in this wave without her, her counterpart. But maybe there's another set not revealed yet that will have that. So at least this spawned a lot out of me as far as discussion, from the sets themselves to the series as a whole so far, from what I've built about the series, and I will continue building. So I will continue building more about this after this point, whether or not on camera, but at least posted to socials afterwards. And Dreams, like I said earlier, is not a theme that I can hold in high regard as I do like Hidden Side. That is a theme where the TV show worked in the context of the sets, and the sets felt like they were part of the TV show for the most part. A few sets here and there, I wasn't really sure if I saw them or if they were in the background or something, but most of it was there, and it went along with that very nicely. Monkey Kid is a theme that doesn't have every set shown, but does have some purpose to a bunch of them. And they feel like that they are lived through in most of those sets, you know? It's like, okay, well, maybe you don't see every function of it in the show, but it does the job that it needs to do. You know, MK is a giant roadster. He's in a race for an episode. You know, things like that. Whereas with these sets, maybe there's more of the show I've missed. Maybe there's some other things that I need to see. But from what I've watched already, I could name like 1 or 2 episodes in a row where it almost had nothing to do with the sets. And almost had nothing to do, I mean, like it had to do with the characters, obviously. But it made me just wonder, like, when do we get to the other stuff? When do we get to the fireworks factory? So, yeah. I probably should have been reading the chat way earlier, and I apologize that I have not been reading for the past almost 2 hours. Or an hour and a half. But thank you to Axel Plate, Bob the Awesome Bob, and Our Toy World for joining in on the discussion, regardless of how much, or if you're just listening instead of actually chatting, no problem. I totally understand. And I also understand it's really late at night here. At least if you're on the East Coast. So, New Wave is really cool, but overpriced. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying is like, I don't mind that there are less sets, but there should at least be some, for lack of a better term, low-hanging fruit. There should be something new that's releasing for the Toy Wave and I'm saying this for regardless of if it's a licensed theme or an IP from Lego or even Lego itself. Like for any product line that releases, and I'm not any authority that would actually, have experience in the toy world, in the toy industry like this, but as a consumer, why would I buy into something so heavily priced if there are other options available for less that can give me a good context? I mean, I've had that with a lot of Lego themes over the years, that I would buy a smaller set so I can get better idea of the philosophy and design of the theme. Even if I didn't know those were words going through my head when I bought my first Ninjago set, or my first Pharaoh's Quest set, or when I first picked up Power Miners, I received it as gifts. And they were a great introduction. Granite Grinder and Thunder Driller really gave me a sense as to what Power Miners was about before all the other sets. And I wanted those other sets because of the influence of those smaller priced options. If you can pack the toy design of a large set into the size of a small box at like 100, 200 piece count, you gold. And I've thought the same thing when it came to Hidden Side. There was a particular Hidden Side set that I've championed. It's one of my favorite sets from the entire theme, and it's under $30. And it doesn't look like a relevant set to the whole of the theme, but it has enough play inside of the set by itself, even without using the app. But I can tell from the way it's set up how the app would work with it. I never really had a chance to use the app that much, and I just wanted to enjoy the sets for being physical toys. But unfortunately now, I almost will never have that chance. I don't have a mobile device that would have the app saved, and it's been discontinued already before this point, well before this point. What I'm trying to say is that the Shrimp Boat Wreckage was a great set for being a great set, but it still gave the aesthetic and the mystery that the theme was offering. And it didn't even have to have a fancy vehicle to boot. Wrecked Shrimp Boat, not Shrimp Boat Wreckage. I called it the wrong thing. I can't remember every set name to 110 degree. I know what you all want to say about the box art. Yeah, I totally, that is one thing I definitely agree with. That works against Hidden Side. This box art, fantastic as it is, and while still doing some visual storytelling, is not good for the average consumer. Does not give a complete context of what you're actually using the set for, or what is included in the set, or how does the set look. You only really get that by looking at the back of the box. And having the boxes turned around makes perfect sense. And it's like, here's the set. Here's how you can play with it with the app. Here's how you can play with it on its own. And then this is what interaction you can have with it. But this set works for what it's supposed to be, This can be a fun little romp on its own. This is a set that I've encouraged, you can make your own adventures out of this. You can make this useful in multiple scenarios for itself and in tandem with other sets from the same theme. I guess if you really wanted to get a better sense of what is this theme about, there are plenty of other sets that have, like, here's the ghost hunting vehicle, and then here's the thing being possessed by ghosts, or here's the ghost hunting vehicle, here's the thing being possessed by ghosts, here's the ghost hunting, well, the thing's being possessed by ghosts, but this also has the ghost hunting technology on parts of it. Plenty of other sets from this theme do that, and they're perfectly fine for doing that. I don't want there to be like a singular Ecto 1 to Hidden Side, I can't really pinpoint one, even though I do enjoy the bus very, very much. And the fire truck is cool. There's definitely some coolness to it. But it's also nice having some of these other models do that as well. So you can have them all fetching out on their own, questing in their own ways. I'm a little saddened that this set basically has no purpose in the show, because I don't think there's any time that they go underwater with a submarine and there's a zombie shark and anything here plays out, even remotely. They have things by the ocean, they have things by this lighthouse, but they don't go underwater from what I can remember, which is weird to say this is a non-canon set. I think you can still make things out of this for storytelling purposes. You can do that for a bunch of sets, as I've done with this and this. If I've never said it before, I'll say it again. This perfectly combines with this set for play features and aesthetics to fit with each other. This literally has the opening to this on its backside. And it doesn't even say that in the instructions. I've just done that myself. But if we're talking modern Lego IPs, Hidden Side is still my favorite. If we're talking ones from over 10 years ago, we're looking at things like Power Miners and Atlantis. If we're talking over almost 20 years ago, it's going to be a whole different ballpark. I know that they're going to be different in all sorts of ways, from building to design to stability to play features, all that stuff. But if Lego Dreams is our newest, iteration within the past 5 years, and video, it did count, but it also doesn't count. Like, honestly, there are things in video that I like aesthetically, and, it's the app part that I hate because it didn't really work that well. And it also made the sets feel like junk. But, like, there's juxtaposition that happened in the video sets that seemed cool and maybe needed more embellishing. Punk Pirate Ship on its own, it's a cool looking pirate ship. I like the way the stripes come around. There's different colors being used. There's basically 2 different stages you can have to this thing. I just thought it was going to be a little bit more. I thought it was going to be a little bit more like a pirate ship. I thought it was going to be a little bit more, that you can interact with this thing. But for what it is, I enjoyed building it. For the most part. Yeah, and then you have things like this. This one's kind of neat. And again, different parts you can spin around. You have this chocolate waterfall in the middle. There is a stage, but there's also like a backstage. But video it's kind of hard to compare to video because while most of the character is in the figures themselves, there's only 4 sets. There's only 4 or 5 actual builds in this theme that you can rely on, that accentuate these characters, that give them a place to thrive. This looks cool on its own, but it looks even cooler if you had a place to play around with it. And that was definitely a weakness for video when it released, because it was just packs of minifigures. And these overpriced headphone boxes. And you couldn't really do much beyond that. You had some things you could do, but, are they going to live in their own world? I think they could have. These all make it feel like they could live in their own world, in their own musically driven world. And like I said, for better or for worse, it's inspired me to do some of my own creative writing that deviated from this. And in some ways, accentuated on this. So, with that all being said, I do hope the best for Dreams. I do still want to check out what Dreams material is around. I do still want to support it, but I have, held off on buying the sets instantly as they came out, even from the first wave. It took me until almost Christmas to get almost the entire first wave. Or actually, I guess you could say until now, because the Treehouse was in the first wave, and I only picked up that set today. But even the sets that came out beginning of 2024, I sprinkled them out. I didn't buy them all as soon as January 1st happened. Or, get into the Lego store right away. But at least now I'm going through building the sets, and I can get more into what's possible out of these sets. You know, what does it offer, but what more could it do? And I believe I've posted somewhere before about the mock potential of ideas that I have with this. I've talked about the snooze cruise at least once or twice before the first wave even came out, that it was inspiring me to create different things that would be in a dreamlike aesthetic. So I like that. And I don't know how to end this video. But anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you even if you scrolled through and skimmed in for little parts. I hope you got to hear this part of it before leaving. My voice is a little raspy, so I'm going to head out. And I'll catch you around on the socials. I don't know how to end this video because I don't know how to say see you next time with more LEGO videos. I don't know when the next videos are going to be. I don't know when the next live streams are going to be. But there are still things that I'm doing with the LEGO hobby, whether it's physical or digital. I'm still working with Bizarre Lego. That's definitely one of the biggest projects to champion, and more updates will come out about that through socials as they happen. And I'll catch in with you later. I'm always here for contact if you want to ask me anything. I was going to throw in a little bit here about time cruisers, but I don't have any real point to make out of it other than it's combining a bunch of aesthetics into one while still being its own thing. I don't hate time cruisers. I don't hate time twisters. But I don't have a lot to really say for it either. And the next thing that I could think of saying, I think Dreams still works better in its own way like that. You know, Crocodile Truck is a great example of what Dreams is capable of and where it can go. But from what I've seen from the 3 sets coming up the next few months, I'm cautiously optimistic. I definitely like the Raven set. I'm not really that sure about the Mateo Night, the Z-Blob Night Max set, but willing to give it a chance eventually. And what was the other one? The Cooper Rex, the C-Rex. It's mid. It's got some fun things here, and I gotta see what more it can offer. Thanks for watching, and take care. I should probably end the stream before I leave the studio.